Hey there, my name is Stephanie and this video is all about my latest finished sculpture, Neon Nights. Now you might remember this sculpture as I made a custom packaging for it just 2 weeks ago. If you're curious, check out that video on how I package my art. So Neon Night has safely arrived this week in San Francisco for the upcoming show Midnight Garden at Modern Eden Gallery, which is really what I was waiting for before editing the sculpting process. Midnight Garden is a group show curated by the art magazine Beautiful Bazaar, which you could say is the high fructose of Australia. I am part of that show because I was one of the Beautiful Bazaar Art Prize finalists last year. That prize is probably my biggest door opener as of to date. If you don't know Beautiful Bazaar, it is a beautifully curated art magazine and I am so thrilled to have been noticed by them. One of my goals is to have an article written about my work in an art magazine, and this just makes it feel a little bit closer. I know I still need to grind a few years prior to an article since my portfolio is still fairly adolescent in size and age, but it feels like now it's going to happen. So yeah, I'm super excited about that show, even though I have no clue if that show is even going to be live or will have to be an online show like most art shows in these times of COVID-19. And Modern Eden Gallery is also a very qualitative art gallery, so I'm very happy about that too. The show dates are from October 24 to November 13 of, this year, 2020. And so if you live near San Francisco and if, again, the show is live at the time, check them out. I went once to a Beautiful Bazaar curated show in Berlin, and I honestly can say that it was one of the best group shows I've ever seen in a smaller art gallery. The setup was just gorgeous and all my favorite contemporary artists were featured. It was just perfect. So yeah, of course it'd be nice to travel to San Francisco to see Midnight Garden, but honestly, apart from the fact that it is impossible right now because of the pandemic, I never travel to group shows I'm featured in unless it's really close to me. Group shows can easily get frequent, and so it's rare that featured artists show up to them, again, unless they're really close. That would just be way too expensive and, to be fair, a bit pointless. Actually, I don't even know if I'll ever go to San Francisco. It has never been a plan, so I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe, but maybe not. Anyway, back to the artwork. So Neon Night was specifically made for Midnight Garden. Now, in case you're wondering, no, when invited to a group show, you don't always have to make a specific artwork for the group show. Sometimes you can have art in your inventory that already perfectly fits the theme, and you can offer that. Now, of course, most curators really like it when you do a specific artwork for a group show, but it's just not something that is always doable. For this specific show, this show curated by Beautiful Bazaar, and which was really a group show of finalists, we were expected to make a new artwork, so that's very specific, but I've been in other group shows and that's not always the case. I had about 1 year to make an artwork, which is really good timing. It's mostly enough for any type of medium. If you're working with oils, for instance, you have a very long time of waiting period, of drying period before being able to varnish it. Usually it's about 6 months. So it leaves you with 6 months of work, which should be enough for a group show. So yeah, 1 year was really good for a group show. You rarely have that much time, to be honest. I've never had that much time, so that was so nice. I've never been less stressed about a group show than that one. You really have the time to play around with ideas, and I really had the luxury to let my subconscious just take care of finding a good idea and then actually starting and doing the work. However, it feels like most of my work these days, I did struggle with the art process. So I'm not completely sure why I struggle so much with each piece this year. I think It's probably a mixture of being a bit tired, but also pushing myself to make better art in terms of skills, composition, colors, meaning, shape, overall artwork. I really try to improve each composition, forcing myself to redo parts of each sculpture if I'm not completely content satisfied with them, and not being afraid to deconstruct and reconstruct my artworks. So that happened with the neon night as well. I originally made longer stems for the flowers, but I so disliked how it looked. It just looked weird. All those thin stems and then the bulky flowers on top, it just didn't work and I didn't like it. And every time I would touch about it to my boyfriend and other people, they were like, I don't know, I think it looks fine. I was like, it doesn't, it looks awful. When I'm not sure about things, what I do is I just leave the piece aside and then work on something else and then go back. At some point, I was so fed up with those stems, I just cut them all out, reduced them, and added them again one by one. And it made such a huge difference. And now everyone is like, oh yeah, that looks better. I'm like, no shit. But I knew it was not looking good before. So yeah, I was really happy to do that, even though it was kind of scary because it could have gone wrong. And same for the frog's face. It was looking kind of off. I cannot really say why. It wasn't wrong anatomically. It was maybe a bit too rounded. I don't know. I just didn't like it. So I just cut it off and redid it entirely, and it looked so much better. So I'm really glad I did change all of these, but sometimes I just wish I could do it right the first time, you know, and not have to go through those phases of like, this looks like crap, I have to redo it. I mean, of course, doing art is rarely a piece of cake, and struggles are part of the job in a way, but these days it's just getting a bit much. Maybe I just need to take a real break from my artwork and go somewhere for a week to not be surrounded by my studio all the time, because my studio is my home. I work from home, and so I'm always in my art. And so even when I want to take a break, it's extremely difficult because I'm at home. So I will always eventually do some kind of art related stuff because I get bored. And when I'm bored, I do art. So yeah, maybe going somewhere for a week would be nice. Anyway, so for the theme of this one, I did need an object that was reminiscent of a garden. I was originally fantasizing about a nice old watering can, possibly metallic, but yeah, COVID-19 decided I had to find something around my own home, so a plant pot it was, because I was not going to sacrifice our watering can, even though it looks great. So the black and rainbow color scheme was clear to me from the start, so no struggles there. And then I simply did make a list of potential animals to put on the pot. I did thought of slugs and moths, and I'm not going to lie, even when I started on the frog, I really wanted to add some bugs on the sides of the planters next to the flowers. But you know, at some point I decided enough was enough and I just stopped. My subject is the environment. It's not just one animal, and I tend to struggle with that a bit because I know that usually what works best visually is to focus on one thing, but I just really like the profusion of a representation of nature with bugs and plants and mushrooms and things, animals, all that kind of stuff in a swill of color and life, and I really like that. But it's often harder to put that in an artwork because it easily gets too much and too crowded. So I guess I'm still kind of on the fence about that. Sometimes I go full in and sometimes I focus on just one animal. So yeah, I don't have a clear answer on that, but I do tend to like profusion over just focusing on one thing. So in the end, the sculpture process for Neon Night took about 2 months from start to finish, a bit over 2 months to be fair, especially if you count the packaging. But yeah, and when I say 2 months, it's not 2 months of non-stop work on it. That would be bad or very expensive. But rather going back and forth between Neon Night and other ongoing sculptures or artworks. But still, I do need those 2 months to mature the artwork into that final piece. So it's not something that I can easily reduce in terms of timing, but it's also not something where you like stuck on just one artwork for 2 months. For what it's worth, I'm very happy with the end result, very happy to be in that group show, extremely pleased that it arrived in one piece, not broken. The gallerist, Kim, seems to be very happy as well with the sculpture, so yeah, I'm glad I pushed through all the struggles. I really hope the show is going to be live, as I think art is best seen in real, and especially sculptures, as you can never see everything in a few pictures. And you do want to be able to turn around the sculpture, get closer, see it from far. So yeah, sculptures are really best seen in real life. So yeah, that's all I had to say for today. Thank you so much for watching Neon Night unravel. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment and share. Consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!